Welcome to episode 22 of the Midwest Angler Podcast. I am Scott Sturman, and I'm joined by Matt Deitch, as always. Matt, how we doing?
Pretty good. Got a new look going up here.
New look.
Pretty
Got a
excited
brand
about
new
it.
podcast table.
Yeah, this big old shiny thing. I got to thank you for making this. You said we on our Facebook post, but that was all you, man. You're the one that put the work into it.
Yeah, I can't believe it actually turned out as good as what it did, because I am really not a builder at all, and I just kind of had an idea and I kind of went with it. Turned out a little big, probably a little too big for this space. If we were in a different location, I'm sure it would be just fine, but we're a little crammed in here up against the wall, and that's just the way that it is. But
hey, it works.
yeah, I wish I would have made it probably a half-inch smaller all the way around, shorter, whatever, but hey, it is what it is, and
That's right.
We're going to make it work. It's cool looking, and if somebody out there with a fishing business is looking for a really
Get all
nice
this.
spot to put their name right up in front.
Yeah, it would look pretty good. I still think Berkeley would look pretty good on there, on the front of there, or something like that. Or Ivo Garcia.
We know a couple guys over there that just pure fishing in
fishing,
just
get that on there.
general. Yeah, put the whole thing on there. So
No, pretty busy weekend as far as in the area and nationally as far as tournaments go.
yep.
We had our walleye weekend that we talked about last week. This past weekend, sounded like the bite was really good. Nobody
Yeah.
caught any tagged walleyes that I heard of.
Yeah, I noticed that. No one caught any tagged walleyes. I saw on the Okoboji Walleye Weekend Facebook page, they had 2,100 anglers sign up for the
Oh, wow.
Walleye Weekend deal, and that was from 17 different states. They said they had California, Florida, Delaware.
Wow, that's
So,
pretty cool.
Yeah, I suppose family visiting or whatever,
It'd
and come back and.
It'd be kind of interesting to see if any other places around the country do something like that where, they release a tagged walleye, and then if you're signed up for it, you could have the opportunity of, earning $37,000 for it.
Wouldn't that be something?
Oh, we talked about that last week, and I don't know. My luck is the year that I caught it, all 10 of them would be caught, and I'd have to. I mean,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. I'd
Yeah.
still like to get the money and everything like that, but
$3,700 is no kick in the shorts either.
I'll take it.
Yep. So, no, yeah, from what I can kind of tell, I talked to some people, I saw some stuff on Facebook. Sounded like some people had pretty good luck and some people not so much. And just from my observation, I'm going to say if you went to Spirit, you did good. If you were on Okoboji, I don't think you did as good.
Yeah. Well,
I could be wrong on that,
think-
but just judging by a couple of the people that I saw, knowing, the way that they kind of fish, I know I've got a couple people on Facebook I know that are real Spirit fishermen, and they had pictures of limits.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I think Spirit Lake is gonna be a good lake this summer. I think it seems like the walleye population is up there pretty good, and I just got this feeling that they're gonna bite pretty good over there this summer. I think that West is always so weird for walleyes because it's such clear water. I think it's a little different for people to fish them in that clear water. I think that's more of like a night bite.
Yeah,
I
and I
think
think
I think guys are having some success at night.
and
I
big
think-
fish.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah,
there-
your
there's
chance of
big
catching
fish
big
on-
fish,
yep.
it seems like comes out west compared to the other ones. I think East's good.
Oh, definitely.
I think-
definitely.
I think
East is
that-
my favorite lake to fish over there.
Yeah.
I mean, it still is.
And as always, people are always tight-lipped.
Oh, yeah.
The people that are catching them aren't going to say a whole lot. And,
Yeah.
you need to have that whole variety of people that go over there. No, they're not catching. Oh, they're not catching anything.
Yeah.
That's all right. It's all right when they say that every
Yeah.
once in a while.
Yep. Well, and when you finally do hear that, oh, they're biting over there. No, that bite is past.
Yeah, it's already.
She
That was a
gone.
couple weeks ago.
Yep, exactly. But one thing that I was, here in Iowa, well, just the Iowa Great Lakes here, Okoboji, west and east, and the connecting lakes to that, and Spirit Lake, that is just a walleye opener. Now, up in Minnesota, that's different. That's northern pike,
Yeah, there's
walleye,
seasons.
bass. Is
Yep, Bass
open?
has a season. It's closed. That's opening it up pretty soon. It always used to be Memorial Day weekend is when bass season would open up in Minnesota. but the last few years they actually started like a catch and release season, I think, a couple weeks before that.
Okay.
So you can go out and catch and release them. So
Strictly to protect the spawning?
yeah, you know, to try to hope. But it's always so weird because if you have a late winter or a late spring, you know, and the ice doesn't come off the lakes till late, like this year, and the water's still cold, it's when opener is a lot of times when the spawn is just starting. So it's one of those deals that, you know, some people like it, some people it's like you might as well, it's like, why is there a close season on them? And I guess I can see their point of saying, why is there a close season? Because down here we don't have a close season on bass, and they seem to be doing pretty good.
Yeah. I think, you know, especially for the walleyes, and we've touched on this in a couple previous podcasts, but the economy boom over there, you know.
It's a state, this weekend, this coming weekend is the walleye opener up in Minnesota.
Right.
And it's kind of a state holiday, you could say. I mean, I can remember many times, like my brothers and I, my dad, grandpa, my uncle, we would go over to local lakes here in, you know, in southwest Minnesota at midnight, you know, for the start of it.
To
you
be
know,
there.
it's kind of a tradition, and we usually fish from shore. We didn't go out in the boat, but it's either that or we get up early that morning and we go to a lake and try our luck at it, just kind of as a little traditional thing.
Knowing that we were going to talk about this tonight, I dove into the internet and found a couple articles. I don't know, Winona, Minnesota, you maybe know where that is, but
Oh yeah, it's over on the east side of the state on the Mississippi River.
their local newspaper had a really cool article, but I found it on the website. But here's a couple numbers for this weekend up there. In Minnesota, there is 1.4 million licensed anglers. Now, I don't know if that's just in-state people or if that's from out-of-staters too, but 1.4 million licensed anglers. They are expecting over 500,000 to be out there fishing this weekend.
Oh yeah, I mean, we were talking about the land of 10,000 lakes. It's, you know, you got a lot of places to choose from, and yeah, a lot of fishermen.
That's pretty near the population of the state of Wyoming.
Yeah.
Every single person in the state of Wyoming out there. I also, in Minnesota, there's 11,842 lakes.
Is that what they're?
11,842 is what they say. Of those lakes, they figure 4,500 of them are fishing lakes. So when you factor in the fact of over 500,000 people on 4,500 lakes, that's over 100 fishermen per lake average. Now obviously your Mille Lacs and Upper Red and, you know, those lakes are going to have hundreds and hundreds, and Little Lake, you know, off to the side, you know, maybe it's only going to have 6. But, you know, that's really amazing. That's more than the whole entire population of Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Every single person in Minneapolis is going to be out fishing this weekend. I mean, it just, you don't realize it. Hockey and fishing in Minnesota, if you're not into hockey and fishing, you can get the hell out.
Yeah. Well, just don't travel too much north anyways.
Right.
And the crazy thing is Rock County, just north of us here, is one of the few counties in Minnesota that doesn't have a lake in it.
No lake in Rock County.
Nope.
Really? That's pretty amazing.
Yep, it's kind of wild.
Just 2 more quick little facts that I found also in that article. But fishing brings in $2.4 billion with a B dollars per year into the state of Minnesota, and there is 35,000 jobs in the state of Minnesota directly related to fishing. Now, be it bait shops, guides, you know, all sorts of stuff. You know, Clam has their headquarters up there, and I'm sure they employ a bunch of people. I know I just got a text message from a friend last weekend, and she was up there in Minnesota for a concert, and she sent me a picture of Strike King and Rapala somewhere up there in Minneapolis, that they had a big building. So I don't know if that's their United States headquarters, Rapala, because I think that's a Swedish company, correct?
Right. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, you know, Minnesota,
Minnesota,
it runs deep.
When you talk about like up in Bemidji, just the like companies, the fishing companies that are up in just Bemidji alone, it's pretty wild. Of, you know, like Northland, I think, is in Bemidji. What else? There's quite a few up there that it's kind of like a good center for it.
I mean, it really is Yeah, it's just amazing, you know, to think
It's
35,000
a big
people.
thing.
I mean, we come from a town of 2,500 people.
Mm-hmm.
So over 10 times our whole entire town, you know, just across the state of Minnesota, and $2.4 billion coming in. It's really
You
pretty
said,
crazy.
how many of them does the state say are fishing lakes?
They say 4,500
out
of
of
the
the
lakes.
11,000 something.
Yep.
I wonder how they classify what a fishing lake is.
Yeah, I was kind of curious on that too, because I mean, there can't be a lake up in Minnesota that doesn't have bluegills in it.
Oh yeah, there's
I mean, you know, everything's got
even
some fish
walleye.
in it,
I
but
mean,
yeah, I don't know.
it'd be interesting to see if they consider one that doesn't have like a public access, like a non-fishing lake or something like that.
That could be. I guess I never thought of it that way. I know that they always say that if you include farm ponds, the state of Iowa has more lakes than the state of Minnesota. I don't know if
I
there's
don't know
any
if
truth to
nah,
that.
I don't think I'd agree with. I don't know. Ooh,
Hey, have
I'd
you ever
to
heard
see
that?
some- Yeah, I have.
Yeah,
I'd have to
I was
see
gonna
some.
say, I'm not just making it up, but yeah, I don't know. You know, when you look at an aerial photo or a map or whatever, when you get up there by Alexandria, and you know, when you get up there
Right.
north of Minneapolis, there's more water than there is land, guys.
Yeah, yeah.
That's just a big old swamp up there.
I think that like Douglas County up in the Alexandria area, I think in that county alone, there's like 160 some lakes.
Really?
In just one county.
Really.
So, yeah, your options are pretty good up there.
Yeah, and then
If
you
this
think,
lake is busy, well, let's go try this one.
Yep.
And not catching anything here, let's go to the next one.
you know, like I've said it before, you know, living here in Lyon County, Iowa, we have one man-made lake that
Right.
isn't very big, you know, and it's 20 minutes away from us. But I truly feel like we're in the middle of it all. We're not close to anything,
No,
but we're in the
we're
middle
not.
of it all.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
It's
we
all
are,
within driving distance.
yeah, you know, we're right here in our town. We're 3 minutes, 3 miles, 4 miles from the Minnesota border.
Right.
15, 20 miles from the South Dakota border. You know, people in our town, you know, spend a lot of time up in Laverne, Minnesota, go to Worthington for groceries, go to Sioux Falls, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're almost crazy if you don't hold a fishing license in at least 2 states if you live in our area right here.
Yeah, there's a lot of people from town here that go out to South Dakota, out to the Missouri River a lot.
More than Okoboji.
Yeah,
And,
yep.
yeah, I mean, you know, that's their home water.
Yeah, for a lot of them it is.
Yep.
They'll go and they'll make it a weekend trip and spend the weekend out there, leave on like a Thursday night or a Friday morning, and
Yep. Yeah, it's something we need to do more of.
yeah.
Saw Brendan Lockwood commented on our Facebook post. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh,
or
I
not,
didn't see
but
that one.
He said, come out to Chamberlain with him, and we're gonna hit you up, Brendan.
Yeah,
If you're
that's for
listening,
sure.
we're gonna hit you up. We're gonna go out in that Lund, and you can show us what Chamberlain's all about.
Nothing like a Lund.
Yeah. So,
No,
No.
so it is. With that, the opener in the state of Minnesota, it's a huge deal. Bait shops. I actually saw one tackle store is closing down tomorrow or on Saturday. They're not going to be open in honor of Minnesota opener, so their employees can go spend it with their family since it's just a tradition to do that.
no kidding.
Yeah.
You know, there was the bait shops over here at the Iowa Great Lakes. You know, there was one that went 24/7.
Oh, yeah.
The other one that went near 20 hours straight. And
Yep.
yeah, that's pretty stand up because
Oh,
I mean,
it is.
you know,
I mean, they understand the tradition. There's a lot of people that pack up and start heading up north to their family cabins and
Yep.
go out and get after it.
Here's another thing I saw. This weekend up in Minnesota, free fishing for moms.
Is that this weekend or is that Mother's Day weekend?
This is Mother's Day weekend.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it's not. The next weekend is Mother's Day, isn't it?
No, this
I don't
weekend.
know. This weekend
Sunday.
is. Oh, it must be. I don't know. Sorry, Mom.
He got you again.
Yeah, I just didn't know when I was going to give it to you. So,
No, yeah, this weekend's Mother's Day. And,
holy
and
buckets! It's already
I
Mother's
saw
Day
that in one of the
weekend.
articles I was reading, that they said free fishing for moms this weekend
could
or
be.
maybe just Sunday. But that's pretty cool. I think it's been around, God, I want to say it was the 80s or the 70s or...
It's pretty cool when states do a lot of that. You know, most states have a free fishing weekend where everybody can go out there and
Yep.
you know you can go and fish. I mean, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, test the waters and see if it's something that you like, you know.
Right.
If you're not a fisherman right now, but it's something you think want to get into. Iowa does have it too. And yeah, go out that weekend. Talk to somebody who you know who is a fisherman and say, hey, that weekend I want to go try it out, and I can pert near guarantee you that won't be your last time fishing.
That's right. Yeah, actually, you know, back to the Minnesota opener. Well, every year they have what's called the governor's opener.
Yeah,
Where it's a big thing where it kind of goes to different lakes throughout the state, and the governor goes out there and fish. They come to those towns and they make it a big deal leading up to it, and it brings a lot of revenue into those towns. This year it's actually over in Albert Lee.
Albert Lee, I saw that, yeah.
So
And actually, just this last year, I believe the
governor's pheasant opener was in
Laverne, yeah.
So
Yep, that's pretty cool.
it's kind of neat to see that they're kind of coming down in this area for some of those things, because you know when people think of Minnesota down here with the prairie top, the flat lakes, they don't get real deep and stuff. Fishing can be pretty good down here. It's not just, you know, northern Minnesota where it's good. So.
But if we had the option, we'd rather.
Oh, I still like going to northern Minnesota. Don't get me wrong.
Another thing I saw, I did a little reading today, guys. But another thing that I saw was that minnows are in a shortage this year up there.
Yeah, I believe it.
They said that the water is still so cold that the suckers haven't really come up to spawn yet. And they said that so many of these bait companies put their minnows in these shallow ponds, you know, to store them for the year or whatever over the winter. And yeah, a lot of them froze out. They said that really could be quite a problem, but yeah, that's just something that you don't really think about neither. But
no. And there's so many regulations on bait now. That's
what
crazy.
They said. They can't bring them in from out of the state.
Yeah.
The Minnesota DNR or Game and Fish or whatever Minnesota calls it. But yeah, they don't want you bringing any out of state fish in because of aquatic invasive species. And yeah, that sucks. That sucks. If you're the type of guy that's going to throw a minnow this weekend, you go out now.
And you might have to do what I did the one time when we were fishing crappies with my brother Mike. We were one short of a limit. We had one minnow left, and tried to set the hook on one. It would have been our last one, and obviously missed. And the hook went up into a tree overhanging the water, and it had our last minnow on it. And it's like, we got to get our limit.
You got to get it.
So there I go shimmying up that little tree. It wasn't a very big tree. I don't know how it held me, and the branch is hanging out over the water, and I was able to get out there and get it and save the day.
Well, better you. It's kind of like when me and my brother have anything that needs to be climbed or anything like that.
Eric's going to be the one.
You're skinny, you're limber, you're going for it.
And don't mind heights.
Yeah, God, that kid,
I know how you are with heights.
Yeah, not for me. Not for me. So,
yeah. So good luck to everybody that's heading up there this weekend. I'll actually be in northern or central Minnesota. I'll be up in St. Cloud area, but not fishing.
Yeah, you better bring one. You better bring a pole.
No, going up there to cheer my wife Emily on. She's running the Lake Wobegon Marathon. It's going to be like her 7th time doing it or something like that. I think it's somewhere right in there. So.
I think
best of luck to her.
I think it's gonna. I know she likes cooler temperatures to run.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it's supposed to be cooler, but now what she's worried about is that they're talking that there could be a thunderstorm in the morning, and
oh really?
Yeah, that would really suck to put in all that time training, and you get to the race day and it gets canceled.
Yeah, yeah. I was actually taking a look because Grady had asked me what we were going to do this weekend, and I think here it's supposed to be fairly clear in the morning on Saturday. And sometime around noon, 1 o'clock, I think is when. But it
changes.
Yeah, I was gonna say
hourly.
Don't change your schedule because of what you're seeing on the weather, because it won't be that way.
That's right.
So.
No, and a lot of big bass tournaments around the area this last weekend. And nationally, we had the Okoboji Open over at Okoboji. Looked like it was a pretty good tournament. There was what? 20 plus pounds to get in the top 6.
Really?
Yeah, it took. I think the winning weight was 24 pounds.
I never did see any results on it. I kind of looked, but I didn't see anything.
A couple Facebook groups, they have the results, and yeah, it looked like a good tournament. Big bass was 6.9 pounds.
6.9.
That's a big one. I'd love to tangle with that one.
Yeah.
You know, give a shout out to my buddy Joe May. I fished that tournament with him a couple times. Him and his brother John went over there and fished it and finished 10. out of 62 teams. That's pretty cool.
Can't beat that. John's from Rock Rapids here.
Yep.
Joe's from Laverne, so
Yep.
a couple local dogs getting it done.
Yeah, that's always kind of nice to see some of our local guys do pretty well in that tournament. So
Yep.
yeah, a 20-pound bag that's a pretty big bag just to get in the top 6.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
And then we had down at Lake Fork,
Ooh,
The
gosh,
Bass.
I was looking forward to that one, and
the Bass Elite Series.
I'll admit it disappointed me a little bit. I believe only one fish over 10 pounds was caught.
Right, Brandon Cobb had that 11-1.
Yeah, 11-1, and I was really kind of thinking that we were going to see multiple in double digits, and didn't happen. I mean, there was a lot of 8s,
Yep.
a lot of 8s were
Yep.
caught and whatever, but yeah.
I think what disappointed everybody was the fact that I think everybody was expecting the top 10 to all be over 100 pounds, and just the top 2 guys were over 100 pounds.
Yep, Brandon Cobb with 114 and Garrett Paquette with right short, 1 ounce short of 102 pounds.
Yeah.
So, and I heard that they're getting like heavyweight belts.
Are they?
Yeah, at the end of the year, they're going to give them some special belt.
Oh,
I
that's
guess
cool.
for getting over 100 pounds. Like,
Oh yeah, the Century Club.
Yeah,
That's
like-
what they call it.
yeah, like a wrestling belt
Yeah, that's
type
neat.
deal. That'd be pretty cool to
I
put in
think
your
when-
trophy case.
Well, I was watching the final day weigh-in, and Dave Mercer was talking, and when Paquette came up there and got second and weighed his bag in, they said that he was the 30th guy ever to join the
The Century Club.
Century Club.
Really?
And then obviously Cobb came in after him, and so there's only been, out of the whole history of the BASS organization, there's only 31 guys that have weighed over 100 pounds in a tournament. There's 100 plus guys usually in that series, and
Yeah.
I mean, you think about all the fishermen, the quality ones that have fished in that one, and only 31 guys have ever surpassed that.
142 is the record, I believe.
It's somewhere in there.
Yeah. Table Rock or
No, it wasn't
Lake-
Table Rock.
No,
It was a Falcon Lake maybe or something like that, or Lake Amistad. It was
Yeah.
a Texas lake, or,
Yeah, I don't
or it might have
remember.
been Toledo Bend. But yeah, it's Paul Elias. That was actually just a few years ago, and that was Paul Elias.
Paul Elias.
Yep.
Yep.
So that one was going on. The FLW had a tournament going on Chickamauga. John Cox won that one.
Yep.
He's a heck of a good fisherman. And then the MLF was at, I think, Smith Lake. And
Don't know, don't care.
and Dean Rojas won that one. So, that's one of the disappointing, you talk about a little bit of the disappointment with that the BASS tournament, the Elite Series tournament this past weekend, was the fact that you already knew what everybody had when they came into the weigh-in.
Yeah.
It was kind of a MLF style because of how the
Regulations,
regulations on that water
Yep.
came, so it was kind of a catch, weigh, and release type thing, and then your 5 biggest fish is what you took for your total weight. So,
But you could only bring one into the weigh-in.
to the weigh-in for
Yep.
just
All the
for,
rest had to be weighed and released
right,
immediately.
and one wasn't, and everybody already knew how much that one weighed, so it wasn't like they weighed that when they got in there and did it. It was just pretty much for picture reasons,
Okay.
because everybody knew what their weight was
Yep.
coming up to the weigh-in stage. So it that takes a little bit of the excitement out of it, because you already know hours before the weigh-in what everybody has, and it's just like they come up there and they talk, so you know that it's always fun when they bring up the last 2 anglers, and calling that last angler comes to weigh in, and they bring in the other one that's in the lead right now, and it's like you need 13.4 ounces,
Yeah.
to win, 13
Yeah,
pounds
like-
and 4 ounces to win, and they get it up there and it's like 13 pounds and 6 ounces, and just to,
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of makes it exciting.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, like you said, for a guy who knows he doesn't have an icicle's chance, to go up there and weigh, especially. All right, guys, just,
Well, it takes the pressure off of it. I mean,
Yeah.
it takes a little
Yep.
bit of all that out of that for them.
Yep,
So,
but no, top 5 on that tournament: Brandon Cobb, Garrett Paquette, Micah Frazier, Brandon Card, and Jeff Gustafson.
Gussie did.
Gussie from Canada.
Yeah.
That-
There was actually 2 Canadian anglers in the top 10.
yeah, Johnston.
Yeah, one of the
Corey Johnston.
Corey, yeah.
I don't know if you saw this neither, but Brandon Card obviously 4th, Brandon Cobb in 1st. There was also 2 Drews in the top 10, Drew Benton and Drew Cook. Is it Drew Cook?
Yep, Drew Cook,
Yeah,
yep.
Drew Cook. They were both in the top 10, so that's kind of cool. Minnesota guy, Seth Fighter, 12th.
Yeah.
He had a good showing for.
Paquette is from Michigan, I think, or something like that.
Yep,
So,
you're right. I actually listened to him yesterday on Bass Talk Live.
Yeah, so did I.
And today, Brandon Cobb was on Bass Talk Live. They asked him, "What's your experience on Lake Fork?" Never been there.
Paquette was the same way. The first time he ever saw it.
Yep, never.
So-
They had never been there. Cobb said that he noticed on the first day of practice that as he was putting his boat in, he saw some shad spawning, and he's like, "Well, I'm just going to go shallow and try to mimic that." He said his bite window was 20 minutes.
Yep.
20-minute bite window. He's like, you could have done this exact same thing every single day, and just that 20 minutes. But
Once you fire up that school, it's like you gotta be casting now. You know, you gotta be doing it. You gotta be doing it because that's when they're biting.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool and interesting to see like all the different baits that they would use. Like they would cast one for a while, like say a crankbait, and they'd catch fish on it. They kind of get the school fired up and they'd catch fish. Well, then all of a sudden they would stop biting that, so they'd grab a swim bait or something like that and throw it out there. Well, then they'd start getting going on that. You get a flurry and catch a few on there, and then that one would die down, so you'd have to switch to back to the other one or something like that.
here's one that I wanted to ask you. Lee Livesey.
Right.
You know, we talked about him last week. I had him. I think you might have had him.
No, I didn't have
No,
him.
you didn't have him?
No.
But, you know, he was billed from down there in Texas, you know.
Guide on Lake Fork.
Guide on
Spends
Lake
over
Fork.
300 days a year out
300
there.
days a year. And what did he end up? 35th, 36th?
Something like that.
I don't even know if he made the 35 cut. So I think he was 36 or 37.
Yeah, he was right there.
So what does that mean? Is,
It
is Lee
means-
Livesey not that good, or is that just say how elite these guys truly are?
It just says that sometimes you just got to go out and fish, and don't fish history.
Yep.
You know, they
We
talk
hear
about that
all
a
the time.
lot.
Yep.
And it always seems like very rarely do you see when they go to a place and it's like, oh, this is this guy's home lake, or this guy spends a lot of time on this lake. Sometimes they don't do well there.
Unless you're out Defoe in the Bassmaster
Well, yeah.
Classic. Not just him.
but I would catch them anywhere.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just kind of you notice that a lot of times. I don't know if sometimes you get the nerves of fishing on your home lake, and like I said, you fish past history, so you're going to spots. Well, if they're not there, it's just like, okay, now what do I got to do?
Yeah.
And like you said, you're fishing on the Elite Series. They're going to catch them. Somebody's going to catch them.
Yeah.
They're going to figure it out. They know that. They know the game. They know how to do it.
Yep, definitely.
So yeah, it was a fun tournament to watch. Bass Live is, I think, the coolest thing for bass fishing there is. Being able to watch, be in the boat with them all day long, and see how they approach different fishing things.
How would you like it if you're Brandon Cobb going into the last day there, and you know, especially like you said, that 20-minute bite window, and you're casting and you know you're catching, and you know, I mean, it's time to jam right here. Like
Yeah.
I've only got it for a little bit, and you got those cameras in there, and they're asking you, you know, questions and whatnot, and it'd be hard to keep my composure.
Well,
Not
and
just
you
like,
see-
hey,
you see that a lot.
Quiet.
Yeah, you see that a lot. Guys will kind of spin out. Chad Pipkins kind of had
Oh,
one of those.
God.
I felt bad for him. The
I
first
feel
2
terrible
days.
for
The
him.
first 2 days he had 30+ pound bags. Third day comes out there and he caught 4 fish for like
5.5 pounds, 4 ounces.
Is
or
that what it
something like
was?
that. 4 fish.
Wow.
I mean, the days before that,
And that
I mean,
still,
the
and he
small
still
fish in
stayed-
his
he
bag
still
was
stayed in the
bigger than
top
his
10.
whole entire. Gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah. So it is. It's,
Yeah,
it was
that's
one of those things
heartbreaking for him. But you know, I saw his Facebook posts, and I don't know. I think he's still pretty pumped. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
he's just pumped to be there, and you know,
Positive. I mean,
Yeah,
you gotta
very.
stay positive. It's a mental game. It's a huge mental game, and that's one of the big things that those guys have over other people is that they just got that competitive mental edge.
yeah,
They don't get rattled on things. You can. Yeah, I mean, you can sit there and you can whine and you can moan about it and let it eat you up, and that's all that consumes you, or you can just move on.
yeah. Brandon Cobb
Keep
kind of
putting your
talked
head
about
down.
that, you know, on Bass Talk Live. You know, he's like, I'm on such a roll. You know,
Yep.
I'm going to these lakes and I'm making good decisions. You know, consistently, and you know, it's just kind of a snowball effect. You just
It
keep
is.
winning.
The momentum is
Yep.
huge in this. I talked about it last week.
Yep.
The momentum is huge in this game.
Yep. But, no, we did get one question today. Chris Kroll,
Chris Kroll had a question.
you see it?
Nope.
I think it was,
I just saw that sweet picture you put up.
he did?
You did.
Oh, yeah. Yep. No, let me see here. He said, talk about bass fishing techniques using frogs.
Using frog.
Different seasons and what habitat they work best in.
All right.
This is gonna be your question because I can sit here and BS you all night long, but don't listen to me.
Throwing frogs. Now there's different, variations of frogs to throw. Obviously we're not talking about live frogs. We're talking about the fake topwater bait frogs. Now the most popular one are like the the Spro bronze eye frog that Dean Rojas is famous for designing and throws all the time. And the other one he has is kind of like a popping frog type thing. And there's some other ones. Ish Monroe is a great frog fisherman. Times of the year, it's getting close. When they're spawning is a great time. When they're up shallow, you throw a frog over top of them when they're on a bed. They don't like that. They're coming up. They're going to get it. That's a great time to do it. Anytime that water starts getting up into that upper 50s is when top water starts to be a pretty good thing and frog. And then also as the season gets along, keeps going, and the water gets warm, those bass are going to look for shady areas and stuff. And a lot of people think that they always go way out deep. Well, sometimes they'll bury themselves into the thickest cover they can find. So they call it slop fishing. You go in the slop, and sometimes you throw one of those frog baits over top of those mats or in lily pads and things like that, and that's where they really shine. And as far as some of the techniques go, when you're frog fishing, you're always going to, usually, like I said, you're fishing in heavy cover, so you're going to want a heavy action rod, probably somewhere in that. Most rod companies make a frog technique specific rod, and most of those are like in that 7.3 to 7.6 range, and usually heavy or medium heavy action. So when you set that hook, you can pull them out of there, because usually it's not just a bass you're pulling out of there. You're probably pulling out a 4-pound bass along with 8 pounds of weeds.
Yep.
And some of them lily pad stems can be, they're strong, they're tough. And then as far as line goes, you want to use braid. So you're talking, 50-pound braid.
Really?
Throwing 50-pound braid up in there just so that you can get them out of there, and braid will rip through that stuff.
Okay.
So that's a good one. There's also like soft body frogs like Zoom horny toad. It's just you kind of Texas rig it on a hook, and you just it's got little appendages in the back, the legs that kick, and you just reel it across the top of the water.
Constant motion?
Yep.
Constant
That one,
motion.
if you stop it, it will sink. So.
And when you were saying popping, like a popper frog, you just kind of
You pop
jerk
it
it all
on.
the way back.
Yep.
For Chris,
Yep.
to explain it.
That looks like it's a soft-bodied frog. It looks like, but it has like the mouth of a popper.
Okay, yep.
And that one actually works pretty good, because that one you can not only you pop it back, but you can also walk the dog with it where it goes side to side. And that's kind of what your hollow body frogs do, is that. So you want heavy gear when you're going after them, so you can get them up out of that stuff. So high gear ratio reels, so you pick up that line fast.
Yep.
And one of the big things a lot of times with frog fishing, if you ever watch guys that do a lot of frog fishing, it's like you can see that bite, then all of a sudden it seems like they wait a second, and then it's boom, they set that hook and lay into them, because you got to make sure that that thing has it in their
The
mouth.
whole frog.
Yeah. Otherwise, and that's something with top water that a lot of people struggle with sometimes. Is like they're like, man, they were hitting it, but they just weren't like grabbing it. Well, sometimes you got to let them bite it, and once you feel them, that's when you lay into them and set the hook.
Not when you see them, when you feel
Yep,
it.
yep. That's what not when you see it, when you feel it is when you want to set that hook. Because a lot of times they might come up there and swirl on it, and you set that hook as hard as you can, and that frog comes whizzing past your ear.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey.
Yep.
So sometimes it's like if you leave it sit there and you keep going. And then another thing as far as like retrieve, it's like anything. A lot of people have their own technique they like to do, but others, if you're bringing it across the lily pads, you're skirting it across that lily pad, and then when you get to kind of an open area of water, you kind of stop it and let it sit for a second. And then you keep it going. I mean, you just kind of You play around
experiment
with it.
around,
I mean,
yep.
that's the big thing. There's no one, fits everybody. It's get out there. That's what's so cool about these guys on like the Elite Series. And I mean, they try all kinds of different things.
Yep, yeah, they
People
got-
might think, what are you doing with that? If it catches fish, it catches fish.
Right, they got 7, 8 rods rigged up in
Yeah.
8 different ways.
Well, that's why they practice. They go out there and they try all different techniques. Well, this one doesn't work, and it could be a lot of different, just different variables.
Yep,
And one thing with like the frogs too, what a lot of people like to do, like when you get one of those out of the package and they got the long legs, like skirt material legs,
cut them down.
trim them up a little bit.
Yep.
And kind of make one a little bit longer than the other, they like to say sometimes, because it kind of gives you a little bit more action on your lure.
And this little holding pond right across the road, every night now, man,
Just
the frogs
frogs.
are fired up. You should see in my egress windows.
Are you getting a bunch of them?
Oh my gosh.
Keep them. We'll use them for catfishing.
We'll go out there. I imagine we could get 20 of them just right now. I'm sitting down here watching TV at night and I can hear them bouncing out the window. Like thunk, thunk. And the first night I walked upstairs, went outside, and Kayla's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I gotta see what's in this." And I'm thinking skunk or, what the heck is going on in here? Yeah, sure enough, there's like 8 frogs down in the egress window. So yeah, it is the time. Frogs are plentiful, and hopefully the water's getting close to that temperature where the bass are gonna be moving up shallow. And yeah, now or in the next week or two, we got some good weather coming. Is the time to do it. We picked up one more question. Wade Jepson wants to know what fishing apps are we using? Anyone still using lake maps? And I only use Navionics for my mapping. Easy, it's on the phone, really good contours, pretty accurate mapping and whatever. But I was talking to Austin Van Vorst this last week, and he had some other deal on his phone, and it shows you a map like with the contours and everything of the lake. And then if you catch a fish there, you can post a picture of it, and everyone...
Is that Fishity?
Could be. God, Austin,
There's a
if
lot
you're
of
listening, when you listen to this podcast, go underneath of there and type in what that app is called. But yeah, you can see right where they do it. You click on the little icon and it pops up that this guy caught a muskie here, or this guy caught a limit of walleyes here. And I'm really surprised that as many people do it as what they do. Give up their hot spots. But you also kind of got to wonder, is everyone, are these people are they gar-holing you? Right out in the middle of the lake, and yeah, I got some
here. It's like, really?
Yep.
That's 90 foot of water. Caught it on a frog.
Well, you popped them.
So yeah, there's a lot of cool apps out there, though. I mean,
there's
one that I see that I think Seth Fighter and Josh Douglas kind of talk about a lot. Like, it'll go in there and tell you like how they set up or there's some other people that do that, how to set up your electronics.
Okay.
Because that's always a big one. People are always asking, what setting should I put my electronics at? And there's an app there's an app for that you can, it'll tell you this is what you should do with them all.
Yep. What was that trolling app you were talking about?
Precision trolling.
Precision trolling.
Yeah, that's an old one. That used to be a book that was out, precision trolling data. I mean, it was kind of they call it the Bible of trolling.
The trolling Bible, yeah. I've heard of guys talking about that.
Now it's on an app, and you can download, I think, just specific lures that, if you have favorite lures that you just troll all the time, you can download those, and they got the dive curves on them, so it tells you, like, if you're using 10-pound mono, how far back you put this lure, that's how far it's going to dive. So on your line counter, you can get it all dialed in, and how fast you need to go to get it down to this depth. If you're using fire line, what you got to do here, so it's
a lot of information out there.
Yeah, if you want to catch them, I mean.
But yeah, precision trolling, Navionics. I know you also use Navionics. I think it's under Boating USA, maybe in the App Store. But
I think Lake Master has a app too.
Yep.
There's a lot of good ones out there.
Yeah. But Austin, if you're listening, drop down in there and tell us. So.
Yeah, I mean, the apps. Thought we lost it for a second.
Yeah, I thought we lost the audio, and maybe we did. So, we'll see. But yeah, maybe this is a good time to cut her off. Then we're at 38 minutes anyways, and I don't want the old computer to crash. I think it's time to upgrade a little bit more of our audio equipment, so.
I was just gonna blame it on Grady playing Fortnite in the background over here.
Yeah, no, we're gonna have to do something. So yeah, we'll see you next week, episode 23. Thanks for tuning in.
Good luck this weekend.
See ya.